They laughed at me, mocked me, called me names behind my back, and sometimes right to my face. I was the outsider in the office, the one everyone thought would quit, the one they never took seriously, the one who feared disliking. But what they didn't know was that every insult, every humiliation, every cruel prank only pushed me harder. And one day, I walked back into that same office, not as their victim, but as their boss. When I first started working at Carter and Sloan Consulting, I was eager, nervous, and hopeful. It was my first real corporate job after college. I believed hard work was all it took to get respect. I was wrong. From the very beginning, I was treated like an outsider. My coworkers, especially a group of 3 led by a guy named Mark, saw me as easy prey. The whispers began first.
Look at this cheap boy.
Did he print his resume at home?
Then came the pranks. Coffee accidentally spilled on my reports. My chair hidden in the supply closet. Emails deleted from my inbox. At meetings, whenever I spoke up with an idea, the group would roll their eyes or snicker.
Thanks for the suggestion, newbie. Maybe next time bring crayons so we can all understand.
Everyone laughed. I forced a smile, but inside, my chest burned with humiliation. The bullying wasn't just words, it was isolation. Lunches? They never invited me. Happy hours? I was excluded. Even when projects required teamwork, I was given the grunt work while they took credit for the results. One day, I overheard them talking in the break room.
He's never going to last here. Give it 6 months. He'll quit. People like him always do.
They laughed, and I realized in that moment, they didn't just dislike me, they were betting on my failure. The final straw came during a company presentation. I had spent weeks preparing a pitch for a client. I rehearsed, perfected every slide, and when the day came, I stood confidently in front of the room. But halfway through, I clicked the remote and my slides were gone, replaced by ridiculous memes mocking me. Someone had tampered with my laptop. The room erupted in laughter. Even the client chuckled awkwardly. My face turned red, my voice cracked, and I stumbled out of the room, humiliated beyond words. That night, I sat in my apartment staring at the ceiling. My pride was shattered. But beneath the humiliation, something else burned. A fire. I whispered to myself, one day, they'll regret this. Instead of quitting, I used the bullying as fuel. I stopped trying to fit in with them. Instead, I threw myself into learning. Night courses, certifications, books, anything I could get my hands on. While they laughed over drinks, I studied. While they mocked me at lunch, I worked through spreadsheets, mastering systems they barely understood. And slowly, clients began to notice. My reports were sharper. My strategies delivered results. A few senior managers started coming to me quietly for help. The bullies still mocked me, but I stopped listening. Their laughter became background noise. One day, a senior partner assigned me to handle a small but difficult client. The bullies scoffed.
Perfect. If he screws it up, it's one less problem for us.
But I didn't screw it up. I turned the client around, saving the account and impressing the partner. Suddenly, whispers about me changed. Some called me resourceful. Others said I had potential. The bullies hated it. Their jokes grew meaner, but I could see the insecurity behind their eyes. Over the next 2 years, I climbed. Slowly, steadily. I was promoted once, then again. Each step up brought more responsibility and more resentment from Mark and his crew. But while they stayed stuck in the same positions, coasting on arrogance, I built a reputation as someone who got results. One evening, as I was leaving late, I heard Mark mutter to his friends,
He's just lucky, that's all. No way he keeps this up.
but it wasn't luck. It was sweat, fire, and a refusal to break. Then came the opportunity of a lifetime. The firm was expanding, opening a new division. A director was needed, someone to lead a team, manage clients, and build the division from scratch. Dozens applied. Mark bragged to everyone that the position was his. But behind closed doors, the partners were watching me. They saw the late nights, the successful clients, the relentless drive. One morning, I got the call.
Congratulations! You're the new Director of Operations.
I sat in stunned silence. Director. My own division. My own team. I accepted, my hands shaking, not with fear, but with triumph. My first day as director, I walked into my new office. The same co-workers who had mocked me now reported to me. Mark's jaw dropped when he realized. His smirk vanished.
This is a joke.
No, Mark. The joke is over. The tables had turned. At first, the bullies resisted. They rolled their eyes in meetings, dragged their feet on tasks. But I didn't retaliate with pettiness. I led with strength. I set clear expectations, recognized those who delivered, ignored their whispers and focused on results. And slowly, their power crumbled. Clients respected me. Upper management backed me. My division outperformed every other in the company. One by one, the bullies either fell in line or fell out. The quarterly review was supposed to be routine, but Mark couldn't resist one last strike. He stood up mid-meeting, pointing at charts.
Delays in Adrian's division are costing us. Maybe he's not ready for leadership after all.
The team glanced at me. Years ago, I would have crumbled. Not now. I stood, calm, collected, and clicked the projector. Slide after slide of evidence flashed on screen. Timestamps, emails, and reports proving the delays were caused by Mark and his cronies deliberately dragging projects. Gasps echoed through the room.
Mark, you didn't just try to sabotage me. You sabotaged this company, and now you'll face the consequences.
The head turned, fury in his eyes.
Mark, clean out your desk. Effective immediately.
Security moved in. Mark's smirk vanished, replaced with panic.
This isn't over, Adrian. You'll regret this.
I didn't even look at him as he was dragged out. But I wasn't finished. The same week, I called in the other two bullies, those who had mocked me from day one, who had laughed the loudest at my humiliation. They shuffled into my office, nervous.
Do you remember when you bet I wouldn't last 6 months here? Do you remember calling me a joke? Well, I lasted. And now I'm the one who decides who stays and who leaves.
Silence. They couldn't meet my eyes. I slid termination papers across the desk.
You're done here. Both of you. Pack your things.
Their mouths opened to protest, but I raised a hand.
I don't need excuses. I need results. And neither of you ever delivered anything but poison. Goodbye.
Security escorted them out too. By the end of that week, the office felt different, lighter. Without the bullies, my team thrived. Productivity skyrocketed. Clients praised our work. The same halls that once echoed with laughter at my expense now echoed with respect when I walked through. I didn't forgive. I didn't forget. I cleaned house. They thought I'd quit. They thought I'd break. They thought I was weak. But I rose higher, climbed faster, and when I finally had the power, I erased every one of them from the place they tried to keep me out of. They mocked me when I was nothing, but in the end, I became their boss and their executioner. Now their names are forgotten, and mine is on the door.